I'm Charlie Alamassey from West Marine, and you're watching this week's edition of Future Pro Tour.
Ready to build your bass fishing skills? Then get ready for the Future Pro Tech, a unique on-the-water instructional series designed to help you better understand today's technology and improve on your competitive edge. Stay with us as we present Thunder Valley Outdoors Future Pro Tech, breaking down the Delta.
The $250,000 Summer Toys Giveaway is heating up the summer fun at Thunder Valley Casino. We're awarding big cash prizes and some super cool summer toys in July. You could win a pair of Yamaha ATVs or a pair of Yamaha Wave Runners every Friday and Saturday night at 8. Then, 2 grand prize winners will each take home a boat of the year, a Yamaha Sport Boat at the July 31st grand finale. Play with your Thunder Club card or visit Capital Yamaha Sacramento for free entries. Why play anywhere else? Thunder Valley Casino.
Precision-built performance, responsive engineering, and revolutionary design. Welcome to the accelerated look, feel, and all-out muscle of the Ranger Z520 Comanche. Powered with the 250 HO Evinrude E-Tech, the only outboard with no dealer schedule maintenance for 3 years. This rig is built to excel. The Ranger Z520 and Evinrude 250 HO. Don't just separate yourself from the pack, leave it. Evinrude E-Tech. Spend more time on the water.
Hello everybody, welcome to the Thunder Valley Outdoors Future Pro Tour. We're here with the Future Pro Tech Series here at the California Delta at B&W Resort with Charlie Alamassey, West Marine Pro, and we're going to be breaking down the California Delta from A to Z. We've already done our Navionics mapping search of the Delta, and we've done all the different breakdowns of the areas we're going to go to. Charlie, let's talk about the things we're going to use tomorrow to break down the California Delta. Let's talk about some of the baits.
Sure, Vince. I'm really excited. You know, tomorrow's going to be a fun pre-fish day. The plan, after talking to Vince and figuring out the tides, is we're going to cover a lot of water real quick with reaction baits. You know, it's really hot during the summer months, and the fish are real aggressive in low light conditions and when the tide's just right. And we've picked the area around Tower Park to White Slough to start our day, and we're going to pitch a variety of reaction baits at them, starting with my favorite, the Topwater Zara Spook. This is a super spook, Okeechobee special. It's a great search bait, and we may or may not take the hooks off.
Okay.
I would definitely recommend that for people pre-fishing.
Okay.
Don't catch the big fish during pre-fish.
Okay.
And we're going to start with topwater. Then, if we find some good frog water, we're going to throw the good old snag-proof frogs. And we'll be able to cover water fast that way too in open water. And then maybe later this afternoon, when that sun gets real high and they get buried up underneath that matted vegetation, we'll start dragging it across the cheese mats.
Okay, all right, all right.
All right, if that doesn't work, and as the tide starts to drop out later in the day, they start to pull off the flats onto the weed lines. What we'll do is throw reaction baits like chatterbaits and spinnerbaits at them. Good reaction bait this time of year. The fish really like these things, especially along the outside weed edges.
Okay.
Everybody loves a crankbait in the Delta.
Crankbait in the summertime, man.
And you can't be caught dead on the Delta without cranking riprap banks with good old-fashioned Delta Craw colored crankbaits.
Okay.
We'll be throwing those, see how many bigger fish we can get to eat those.
Okay.
And, you know, a lot of guys don't think flipping is much of a reaction bait, but I will tell you this. Later in the afternoon, we're going to be doing what we call punching.
Punching, I've heard a lot about that.
Yeah, I don't know if everybody knows who Ish Monroe is, but he's won 2 major tournaments, FLW tournaments, punching crawdad type baits through thick matted vegetation. We're going to be trying that later, trying to get some really big fish, because this time of year, be honest with you, those big fish hunker down underneath those thick matted weeds, and we're going to go punching in right after them if they don't come up after those frogs.
I hope that happens. He's one of our Pro Support staff members, and he'll be happy to see if that really works. Well, we're going to go out tomorrow morning, and we're going to hit the California Delta. You guys stay with us, and we'll get back to more action in just a few minutes. Stay tuned.
What's new? That's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, we're like a big theme park. Can't see everything in one day.
West Marine, we've got everything a boater needs.
Come see.
It's forecast to be a smoking hot day, and Ranger Pro Charlie Alamassey joins me to help anglers get ready for the Delta Swing, a series of 3 consecutive events scheduled for the tour in August.
So another reason I like this bank, Vince, is because even though the sun's up over the horizon a little bit, there's still shade along this edge of tule and weed line. So again, the more shade you can fish in the morning, as long as you got shade, you always got a good chance at topwater.
Okay, okay.
So we're starting by hitting the end of this point, and then we'll work in about 100 yards, because this is where the current is doing the most, is pushing the most bait against this bank, is right through this 100-yard section to this point.
Okay.
And the reason the fish like it is because when the tide turns around, all they have to do is switch their position, face the other way. They don't have to travel that far on the tide change. So, you know, big fish are lazy. They don't want to have to move that far, so they pick these kind of spots where it's easy for them to catch the tide going both ways.
I see. I see.
Oh, there's a fish.
Oh,
there's a fish. Oh yeah. You see how it's kind of delaying that?
Oh!
The heartbreaker bass fish.
Oh, heartbreaker bass fishing. Well, that's going to help with the guys that are watching. It even happens. Guys, it even happens to touring pros, okay? It happens. And that was a good fish.
It was. This is
Now,
about a 3
what
pounder.
were you doing? We started on the end. We got about to the middle, to the shade pocket that you were talking about. What did you do you think, to trigger that strike?
Okay, I noticed, you know, you've been throwing the fast moving bait.
Yeah.
And I was same cadence for a while. I wasn't getting any reaction to it, so I started a stop and go retrieve.
Okay.
And that's when they decided to eat it. So, you know, again, change your cadence until you get the fish to react, and it's amazing how just a little change in how you're retrieving that bait will.
Boy, I'm excited.
Do
This
it.
is getting exciting. I haven't gone fishing. I always have to direct and then go back and do payback and stuff. I get to see this is exciting.
Hey, so I did a couple things wrong, and I'm gonna check one thing first. Always check your hooks, especially before you start fishing. Make sure every point is super sharp on your topwater hooks, especially spooks with small treble hooks. Always make sure if it doesn't dig easily into your fingernail, it's not sharp enough. So I checked my hooks, they were sharp enough. So what I did wrong on that fish was I didn't stick my rod down in the water and trying to keep him from jumping.
Okay.
You know, big fish, when they have a spook hanging out their mouth, there's a lot of leverage. So when they jump, it's easy for them to shake those small trebles out of the hook. So what I didn't do is dig my rod deep in the water, keep him coming to the boat, try and keep him from not jumping. And they have a better chance of staying on.
Well, let's get back over there and let's see if we can't get his brother to come on out and play with us.
Got it.
So tournament is go time.
Oh, did you see that? Did you see that?
We saw that.
I stalled that, he came out and popped it. Now we can do 2 things here. It depends, you know, during the tournament you should know what's gonna happen next. You know, I could throw back in there right away with either the same bait or something a little bit different, see if he'll strike it again. And if that doesn't work, then you want to follow it with like a Senko, brush hog, something that's slow falling, maybe a fluke, see if they'll eat that. So I'm going to choose to throw the spook back in, but if I don't get bit again, I'm going to pick up a little fluke and throw that in and see if he'll come and eat that. A lot of these topwater fish, they'll only hit a bait once. Okay. He hit it again though. Oh yeah, keep your rod tip down. Keep your rod tip down. See, he won't jump when I got the rod tip down. All right,
there you go. All right.
There you go.
Well, there it is. The proof is in the pudding. Charlie had said that sometimes they won't hit it, but sometimes they will. Kept that rod down, and you guys shoot about a couple
It's
pounds.
a keeper.
It's a keeper.
It's a keeper.
All
We're
right.
on the board.
We're on the board.
Always gets the confidence going.
Scoreboard time.
We're gonna let this little sucker grow up. But
Hey, let's see if we can't do that again. It looks like this early morning, just what Charlie said, you've got the shade bank. The sun is coming up over the Delta Levee, but we've got shade going on, and I'm gonna toss this buzzbait in there.
yeah, give it a shot. Let's see. It could be getting a little more aggressive on it. Hey, so Vince, we just fished what I felt is the best 100 yards of this bank.
Okay.
So again, this is a short tournament. You don't have a lot of time to mess around. You got to stick on your key stretches.
Okay.
And you go through them. If you're confident you've got as many fish, bigger fish to bite, then it's time to pack up and move to your next spot.
Time
So
to
why don't we
move on.
do that?
Where do you think, where we're gonna go next? We did the top water kind of early in the morning, sun coming up. What's your next move?
It's time to hit another bank similar to this that I think we can get fish on crankbaits and what you're throwing the chatterbait on. Now that the sun's coming up, I think the topwater bite's going to go away a little bit. So we're going to head over by Tower Park Marina and see what we can dig up there on the subsurface reaction bait.
Top water action will continue as we head upriver to Tower Park. Don't go away.
What does winning look like at Thunder Valley Casino? Oh yeah. And with our points for free slot play program and thousands of jackpots of $500 or more every single day. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Thunder Valley Casino.
We approach the Tower Park area and continue to key on shady banks with topwater baits.
Same thing. Sometimes you just got to decide: do I throw back in there with the frog, or throw a Senko, or a fluke, or a brush hog back in there? And a lot of times, a real key when you're team fishing is go ahead, throw your frog back in there the second time. But if you don't get bit the second time, if he doesn't eat it all the way, then have your team partner throw the Senko. Vince, do you have a Senko tied on?
Nope, I will.
There's a fish. All right. Babies. Babies.
Babies, babies, babies.
You know, guys ask about colors to throw in the Delta for frogs, especially for open water. Doesn't matter so much on matted vegetation because the fish can't really see the color of the bait. They can only feel it and hear it up there. I try and keep it simple. I either throw a white bottom frog or a black bottom frog. You know, a lot of guys like greens or browns or chartreuses, but to me, you know, black or white, try and simplify it. It's all about, you know, shading. A lot of times, it really doesn't even matter. Some guys will say throw black when it's cloudy or low light. I don't know. In my experience in Delta, just have both tied on, both colors. Doesn't matter whether it's cloudy or light. Sometimes they just want one color over the other.
Well, that was interesting. You had just said don't be afraid to change baits if you see somebody else doing something. And next thing you know, bam, you get 2 blow-ups and you hook a frogfish. Fantastic. How does water temperature affect Delta fish? You hear a lot about, well, the water temperature is these, the water temperature is that. Hey, talk to us a bit about water temperature on the Delta.
All right, well, during the summer, the hotter the water temp, the better the topwater and frog bite is. And one of the theories that Bobby Barrett, probably the king of topwater frog fishing, came up with is if the air temp at night drops more than 20 degrees, then he's not so confident in frogs and topwater fishing the next day. So last night, the air temp only dropped to like the mid-low 70s, where a week ago it was dropping into the 50s. So that tells me that the topwater bite's a whole lot better today because it hasn't dropped the water temp much at all. In fact, it's early morning, it's already 75-degree water temp. And I was out here yesterday, in the afternoon it gets up to 83 degrees.
Oh my God.
So what happens is the fish's metabolism is super high, so they're super aggressive and they're more likely to come up through matted vegetation in the afternoon, that cheese mat we were talking about, and we'll show you guys a little bit later because we're headed in that direction. And really get aggressive and bust through that stuff and eat those frogs.
That's good information. Temperatures on the Delta, breaking it down for you.
I'm ready to hit another spot. How about you?
Hey,
Yep. Again, we hit the best 100 yards of this stretch. Now it's off to another one.
okay, let's go.
Time's a wasted.
The key points to remember in this segment were: work shaded banks, use sharp hooks, keep your rod tip down, and don't be afraid to change up. The sun is getting high and temperatures begin to rise dramatically. But Charlie says if fish are still biting, you need to stay with the pattern until it plays out and it's time to move on. Charlie and I head out as the tide starts to move in, and he targets post-spawn fish in the Venice Cut area. Though the sun is high, topwater action prevails, and we continue to catch keeper fish on Zara spooks.